All right, let's get into this. And hopefully, right now, I am experiencing a major thunderstorm outside. So the Lord seems like he's popping the balloons up there. So hopefully, the electricity doesn't go off on this broadcast. All right. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. All right. Let me first talk about how I found out about this show. So in February of this year, I got hit with a kidney stone, my first kidney stone ever. All right. I was sitting right here on this couch in pain. Right. And I don't typically sit down and binge watch stuff because I just feel like it's a waste of time. I might watch an episode or two. I'll stretch a show out for a long time. But I was in pain. I'm sitting on the couch and I just kept seeing clips of like a date. I could tell it was a dating show. You know, I'm old school. I remember dating shows, like the Newlywed Game and all that, right? So it's called Pop the Balloon. So I said, let me click on this and watch this episode. And it was entertaining, to say the least. And I watched a few episodes. I mean, I was laid out for a week with a kidney stone, just kind of like, ugh, and a lot of pain, just like persevering, right? So I watched a lot of these episodes, which was odd for me, because I was watching them straight through. They're like an hour and a half sometimes episode. It's a show that comes on Netflix. It's done by a Christian couple named BM. He was a popular artist in Africa. And then his wife, Arlette, she's the main host of the show. They are, from what I think, they're saved. They're Christians. They're believers. They seem like they love the Lord and all of that. And so I thought, let me watch this one. This is kind of cool to see this. I didn't know if it was a Christian dating show or if it wasn't. What it was. But I just realized, okay, they have Christians on the show or people who profess to be Christians, but it's just a dating show. And it started to get really popular. So I was watching this and it was very entertaining. But after watching enough of these episodes, and I got to the point where, like, I think they come on every Wednesday. It might take me days to watch a full episode now because I just don't have the patience to sit and watch a whole episode straight through anymore. So it's like I might watch a little bit, move on, come back there, because there's a lot of balloonery. All right, so let me give you the premise. So if you've never seen the show, we are going to watch a clip, but not from beginning to end. But what happens is they will have usually, first of all, this is a primarily black show, right? This is mostly black, young adults, black, but people of all ages, but largely African-American. I haven't seen that many people that are not African-American on the show, right? So it's really a black excellence dating show, right? As they would say in the modern era. But basically what happens is they'll have about anywhere from 5 to 8 guys or 5 to 8 women, men or women, kind of lined up with red balloons. And the host will, talk, and then she'll call out, if it's all women, then she'll call out a guy. If it's all guys, she'll call out a woman. They're presumably single, and they walk out, and then if you don't like what you see or like what you hear, you pop the balloon. You pop the red balloon, all right? And the person gets a chance to pop balloons as well if not enough people pop the balloon. So what happens is they'll come out. If people don't think the person's initially attractive, they'll pop the balloon, and then they'll ask them the information: what's your background, where you from, what do you do, what do you look for in a partner, and then they'll explain that. What don't you look for? And then if someone popped the balloon, they'll walk up to that person and be like, why'd you pop your balloon, and so forth. And then if they don't pop a balloon, then they'll say, okay, well, once you ask the people who still have a balloon a question, and then they each have to answer. And then after a round of questions, the person who's figuring out who they want to date, they have to pop a balloon and so forth, all right? So that's the premise of the show. With that being said, let's pop the balloonery. Let me tell you 5 things that I've learned about modern dating by watching Pop the Balloon, all right? Now, again, this is a microcosm of culture, but it's a popular show now. In fact, Netflix is doing its own version of it with apparently the couple, BM and Arlette, are executive producers, but the Netflix, I ain't even get that no run for many reasons. I ain't going to even get into that. But 5 things I've learned about watching Pop the Balloon about modern dating. Here's the first thing I've learned about watching this. Now, when I say learned, I don't mean I didn't know these things beforehand, but it just became a reality. Fear of man is huge. Now, I cannot prove this because I don't know people's hearts. I think people are lying, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But I think fear of man is huge. I think, especially among the women, there are times when I think people will pop a balloon based on the fact that other people pop their balloons, right? Like, say someone walks out, right? And a few women pop. Not everybody pops all the time. But then once they start asking the women why they pop and they start explaining, then you'll hear, like, you might hear another pop or two. And it's like, well, why'd you pop after what she said? And then when they go to them and say, well, why'd you pop? They'll be like, yeah, I just wasn't feeling it. But it was like, well, you were feeling it before that lady said what she said. Like, to me, I feel like so much of modern dating has fear of man in it. Everyone wants to date someone that everyone thinks is attractive or whatever, for the most part. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people that don't pop their balloon and they match up, and that does happen. Otherwise, the show wouldn't be successful. But it just appears, especially with the ladies, but guys do it too, where like dudes will pop a balloon, or people will pop a balloon because of what other people are saying or what they're thinking. Like if they say, and you'll see what I mean in a second when I show you a clip, but if they say something like, yeah, I just don't like the way they dress, I feel like woo, 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 then you might hit another balloon or two pop. And it's like, well, you didn't pop the balloon. They haven't done anything since you didn't pop the balloon, except that person said they criticized their outfit, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom. So I think fear of man is really huge, especially in a modern era where everyone just believes they're entitled to options. We've always thought that, right? But I think, I hear these horror stories about the dating apps, and everyone just swipes. I saw a story of a guy who was on a dating app. I believe it was Tinder, and he swiped 2.1 million times to the right. I guess you swipe to the right. He swiped to get one date. 2.1 million times. So fear of man is huge, where I think these people are just like, I don't want to look like I'm the person that doesn't like the person who's... I'm not saying that's everywhere, but I noticed that. All right. Second thing I've learned about modern dating by watching Pop the Balloon. People are lying and lonely. Lying and lonely. All right. So when people walk out, they always say, what do you like to do for fun? And I kid you not, almost every single person says, I like to travel, I like to do this. I'm not saying people are lying about that. But I'd be curious. I wish Arlette would say, where do you travel? How often do you travel? Because going someplace, it costs money. Some of these people come on and they say what they do for a living. There's no way you got money to be traveling all the time. Like when you like to do for fun, if you say what I like to do for fun, that's something that I might do often because it's something that's fun. Like, yeah, like to travel, but that's how many people are just traveling here and there. Shoot, I'm trying to go have fun this weekend. Let's go to Cancun. Let's go here. Let's go here. People I think they just be lying. But then here's the other reason why I'm saying people lie. On the show, people will say stuff like someone will come out, right? And someone will pop the balloon. And so say a guy pops a balloon for a woman. And they'll be like, okay, so why'd you pop your balloon? And they'll say, yeah, I feel like the height, she's a little short for me. Woo woo. I like my girl's a little taller, whatever it is, right? They'll say that. And then they always ask the person, what do you think? Well, they go back and forth. But then the next girl that comes out, or the next person, will be the same height or taller, and that person didn't pop the balloon. So was it really about height, my dude, or like my girl? Or is it just, it wasn't, right? I think people are lying. But largely, I think people are lonely. I realize how lonely, like in an age where we're supposed to be so connected to each other because we have access to people through social media, like people are more lonelier than ever. Like they're talking about by 2030 that 44% of women are going to be single. That's like in 5 years. Like it's just people are lonely and you can see it. And it's like, which is why it makes it so odd to me when people get on and criticize each other. It's like, Slim, you're both on the same show. Like, you came to the show hoping to leave with somebody, presumably. So, like, even if you're really attractive and you're putting people down, like, you're obviously not killing it apart from the show, because you wouldn't have requested to be on the show unless you're trying to be an actress or have some ulterior motive. I think people lie a lot on this show. People, and I think they're just lonely. And it's really, like, I watched the show and it's entertaining, but in reality, it's really lonely, because you think about all these people that came on there hoping to find somebody. Because I've watched people do a 180, because they thought, I'm down to one or two persons, I want to leave with somebody, right? It's just crazy. All right, third thing. All right, this is the third thing that I've learned by watching this show, is that superficiality is a virtue. Watch this clip with me, all right? Watch this clip. I want you to watch this clip and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, watch this clip, and while she's gonna ask a guy, why did he pop his balloon for this girl? Now, don't get me wrong, there's a place for preferences, but watch this clip for a second, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, here we go.
Thank you. And over here, your name and age.
I'm Samson, 28.
All right, and Samson, why did you end up popping your balloon?
I popped just because of the fit, the outfit, just like the long dress, long sleeve.
You want short?
Not short. Nah. Just I
leg?
don't know. It looked like you was going to a funeral. That's why.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
like,
okay.
it should
The
be happy.
black.
Yeah, the black. I love the hair though. The red
Thank
hair.
you. Can't
So,
do much with the red hair, color wise.
I like it though. So
Thank
and
you.
the voice was beautiful.
Thank
Jeez.
you.
So, but just the fit. Yeah, that was
Thank
about
you.
it. Yeah.
Now, is he someone that's your type?
If I could see his eyes, then maybe I could judge a little better. No. No. Not like that, but
Nah, you good?
but no, it didn't. The eyes didn't do it for me.
Nah,
I mean, I don't. Yeah. No.
Thank you. I'm back.
Sorry.
All right, so I hope you saw that, right? Two things, right? So first, he popped his balloon, and she said, why'd you pop a balloon? He said, the outfit. Like, again, preferences are fine, but superficiality is a lot of what people's preferences are, to be honest. Now, this is just a clip. This whole show is nothing but people saying their preferences, and they're dumb. So first he was like, I ain't like the fit. She's got on I thought the LBDs was what women were supposed to wear, the long black dresses, right? She got on a long black dress, and he's like, I just don't like the fit. It's like, fam, that's just one outfit, right? Now, I get it, you're going to have your preferences, but it's just one outfit, right? But then what the show always does, which is what I think is hilarious, is that if Arlette, the host, will ask the person, well, is this person your type? And then if they say no, she always asks, why is this person not your type? And then they just say what it is, right? I think people are so superficial, it is ridiculous. Like, it'll be like, oh, the height. Oh, I don't like the accessories. Fam, their earrings. One guy, so I was watching this show with my oldest son. He's 17. We was just watching it, a little bit of it. And it was so funny to get his perspective because he's 17. He don't know what he's talking about. Right? But it was cool to hear his perspective. But it's like, this guy was like, yeah, they're not really my type. I just like a natural look. I don't want women to wear makeup. It's like, fam, these women are going to be on a show that has over 1 million subscribers and view. Makeup is how, I just want women, I can't wear makeup and all that. And it was just like, why did you come on this show if you thought every woman who wears makeup is not going to? So there is a superficiality in modern dating that is a virtue. Like, people celebrate like these preferences. Yeah, I don't really like the shoes. It's like, Slim, you can take those shoes off, right? It is fascinating to me to watch this, to see this happen. Another reason why I say superficiality is a worldview is because there's a lot of Christians that come on this show, right? There's a lot of people who profess to be Christians, both men and women on the show. And it's fascinating to me how some of them will say, like, I need someone to be God-fearing or trust the Lord. Now, there's some that stick to their guns for sure. But I've watched some of them, people be like, I'm not really God-fearing or whatever. But they'll say something like, but I'm spiritual, though. I'm spiritual, but I don't really subscribe on religion. I would love it if Arlette, because she's a Christian, I would love it if she said, what do you mean by spiritual? What does that mean to you? Like, where does that come from? Because what are you talking about? Like, I'm spiritual, but I'm not. But then I watch some of these people compromise, right? They'll just be like, well, okay, but like, do you go to church sometimes? Are you willing to come to church? I remember this a couple of times. People like, I mean, I'm willing to go occasionally. But all right, then I choose him. And it was like, wow, it goes back to people are just lonely, especially Christian women are just lonely. And it's like, now I'm not saying everyone's done it. I've seen people stand their ground, but it's just so super. Like, your relationship with God cannot be superficial. And marriage is not going to even be in heaven. And as much as we have idolized romantic relationships in the here and now, it's like, that's not who we're going to be when we get up top, right? So I just feel like it's just, there's a superficial nature that I just see. It's so superficial. Like, don't get me wrong, everyone should have preferences, but my goodness, like, which leads to the fourth thing I learned. The fourth thing I've learned watching this show is lust, not love at first sight, is what people consider connection or spark. All right? This will happen a ton. Someone walks out, and then before they say a word, pop, 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 pop. And here's what's wild about the show. This is both humorous and like cringeworthy, right? So people, like, you're walking out, and then you hear, there's 8 people there, and you hear 4 balloons pop, 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 pop. You didn't say anything yet. So you know they're only popping their balloons because they think I'm unattractive. And then Arlette still has to ask you questions. So what's your name? Where you from? What do you do? And then sometimes when you're talking, you hear pop, pop. And some people, you could tell, they'll just like pause and be like you could tell their feelings are hurt. So then they'll go to the people and say, why did you pop your balloon? And this is what everyone will say. Men and women both say this. It's almost like everyone uses the same playbook. I don't know if Arlette and them, if they say, look, this is what you got to say, if there's a script, but everyone will say this. Here's what they'll say. So why'd you pop your balloon? Yeah, I just didn't feel a connection. I didn't feel that spark. It's like, huh? Like, how do you feel a connection or spark, and this person hadn't even said a word yet? This is why I'll give women their credit. I'm not saying all women do this, but women, I'll give you your flowers right now. Right? Here's women get their flowers. Women can go out with a guy, not necessarily be as attracted to him as she would desire her mate, but then feel a connection or a spark with him because he makes her laugh. He's interesting. He gives her eye. He asks her good questions. All these things, and a woman can fall in love with a guy like that. It's very hard for dudes to do that. We're just so superficial. It's very hard. How can you say you have no connection or spark when you haven't had a 12-second conversation with the person? Spark and connection do not come from no conversation, right? There's no such thing as love at first sight. You do know that, right? It's just lust at first sight. It's lust. Love is a commitment, right? Especially if we're using the biblical categories. Love is patient. It's kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It does not keep a record of wrongs. It is not rude. It does not insist on its own way. No one has ever seen someone and said, oh my gosh, I just never want to insist on my own way with this person. I just never want to keep a record of wrong with this person. No one. That's love at first sight. Lust at first sight is, oh, okay, I would be intimate with this person just by the way they look, right? That's not a connection. There's no connection. A lot of people we've all been in situations where I've been attracted to a person, but there's no connection. Connection and spark, they use that language, but what you really mean is, I don't want to kiss him. I don't want to be intimate with him because I'm not attracted to him. Like, connection and spark, that's what I mean about superficial, right? Connection and spark does not happen based on if someone looks good, right? Connection and spark happen when you're able to have conversations, when you can ask good questions and you feel like this person's actually listening to me, paying attention to me. Oh, he makes me laugh, or oh, I like how gentle she is. That's where connection and spark comes from. It doesn't come from just the way a person looks. So when I watch this, I just think it's crazy. And this is what people don't realize. Everyone feels like they're entitled to someone who's so attracted that everybody was like, boy, look at you. Well, he is fine, girl. Everyone feels that way. Don't get me wrong. You can have your preferences, but people forget this. You know, supermodels get divorced, right? Like supermodels, the most beautiful women in the world get divorced. I remember they said Kim Kardashian was the most beautiful woman in the world. She's been with a few dudes, right? Like why hasn't she been able to settle? Supermodels get divorced. All the beautiful people get divorced. They said in Hollywood, a 5-year marriage is like 50 years in the non-Hollywood world because of all the temptation and things. Like, it's not like because you're attracted to this person, you're guaranteed. Like, I'm talking about, I mean, everyone's going to be with someone they're attracted to, but attraction, I'm talking about instant, right? There's levels of attraction, right? There's instant, like, oh, there's the beautiful, fine, gorgeous, all of that, right? There's levels to it. Everyone wants someone that's like, oh my gosh, drop dead, whatever. And when I say everyone, I'm obviously being facetious, but I'm making a point. Everyone wants that, but man, attraction grows over time. This is why, and it grows for different reasons. This is why a husband will tell his wife that he's been married to for decades, you're more beautiful now than the day I first married you. He doesn't mean you're physically more attractive, but you're more beautiful. There's a connection. The love I have for you is deeper than the day we got married because we've been through some things, right? It's just fascinating to me how all these people think they want to be in a relationship, but they're thinking that a connection and a spark. And this is why dating apps destroyed modern dating, because you're only swiping based on that photo. You're swiping, and every woman wants the top quality guy. So if you're a really good looking dude, you're a certain height and you make a certain amount, you're cleaning up. But the rest of the dudes, it's curtains for them. So I watch this show and I think, wow, these people will be like, there was no spark, no connection, and they ain't even say a word. Just say I wasn't attracted to him and that was that. You do not have a spark and a connection. And you can have a spark and a connection with someone that leads to a 30, 40, 50-year marriage that has nothing to do with how beautiful they were, or how cute or handsome they were when you first saw them. Attraction is a funny thing. And so I just think that supermodels get divorced. You know, people be acting like, oh, if I just marry somebody that I think is really good looking, then, man, them peoples be crashing out. They get divorced. They break up all the time. That's not what listen. Attraction can draw you to a person, but if you ask anyone that's been married longer than a year, let's go 5 years, they will tell you. No, I would say, shoot, it might even be a couple months. You can marry someone that is drop dead gorgeous, or he is super fine if you're a woman, whatever. And all it takes is a few weeks of living with them, being married to them. They offend you, they sin against you. You see them and they're without and all of that attraction goes away. Attraction does not keep a marriage together. It may draw people together, but it will not keep them. What happens if you marry a supermodel and then a month after you get married, they get into a car accident and now they're disfigured? Now that's gone. What do you have then, right? You got commitment. You got all these different things. It's just fascinating to me. No wonder the divorce rate is crazy, because it's just fascinating to me. Because I'm talking about the early, so there's levels of divorce rate, right? There's a divorce rate like between the marriage and divorce of 3 to 5 years. It's crazy high, and I think people are just unrealistic. They just are unrealistic. All right, number 5, the last thing I've learned about watching this, and this is kind of a summarization of what I've always said. People truly have no idea what marriage is. They really do not. And I get it. The divorce rate is high. I get it. Unfortunately, I find myself in that category. Single dad. I get it. I was joking with my sons, like, man, I'll never go and pop the balloon. My son was like, why? I said, because that joint will sound like a Uzi. Pop, 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 pop. People don't even know you, right? They don't even care. They don't care at all. But I was like, look, The reality is people have no idea what marriage is. Like I said, supermodels get divorced. People just have no clue. Like, wow, vows don't matter. Vows are what people say as a formality, not something that I'm committed to make this thing work. Like if you write your own vows, cool, but the traditional vows that people have are important because that's what you try to live by, these vows. And if you're a Christian, it's deeper. You try to live by your commitment to honor the Lord. Now, obviously that doesn't always happen. It does. Someone could not do it and someone could do it. And that all those things happen. But it's just like, you really realize, man, people have no, you know what I would love to see, because Arlette and BM are married. I don't know how long they've been married, but they need to do like a episode where they sit down with people, they meet with couples, because people respect them, right? Everyone, it's all black excellence, black love, right? People respect them. They should do an episode once every 20 episodes or something of just, let's talk about what marriage really is. Let's give our opinion on the perspectives that they do. Other little things like they catch up with couples who have dated. I don't watch those. I don't know what they say on those, but they should really sit or have people who've been married. Like let's do a show with people who are married commenting on the way people are choosing someone to date. Get people who've been married 50 years, 30 years, 15 years, 5 years, and 1 year, and ask them, with what you thought about marriage beforehand, how was it different after you got married? You know, have some people who got divorced on there. Have some really attractive people that didn't make it, right? I think they have a great opportunity because they're believers and because they're married to kind of help shape, because people are looking to them to define relationships. They're looking to them. I think it would be crazy for them to explain to people what marriage actually is and shape it in that way, because people have no idea what marriage is and what it takes to make it work. Everyone just wants someone they can have sex with, and that has to be attractive. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you should have no preferences. I'm just saying, man, you have no idea how much those preferences will not keep you in any serious relationship. Because once that person who is so attractive, who gets you so in the mood, once they offend you a few times, you could be on your anniversary out to dinner and getting a conflict over something stupid. She's looking amazing. Her hair's done everything. He's looking good. And you go home and don't even talk to each other because you got in an argument. Like, it's so superficial the way people view marriage that it's no wonder that between the wedding date and the first 3 to 5 years, a lot of people just can't handle it, because they really thought, oh, I thought the person that I'm attracted to and the person I fell in love with, I thought these feelings would stay the whole time. And then you realize after a while, at some point, that stuff can carry you. But ask anyone who's been married. After a while, sometimes sooner, sometimes later, the way you feel about that person, all those things that are so new and exciting, they just become normal. They just become normal. And now you realize, oh, love is actually a commitment, not an emotion. I love that 1 Corinthians 13 does not say love is a feeling. It describes it as actions. It's patient. It's kind. It does not envy. It's not rude. It does not boast. It describes it more in activity, what it doesn't do. So many people think the way I feel about this person and my attraction is going to maintain. And then all of a sudden, a couple months in, you're like, this person actually does things that really get on my nerves. You know? And so now you realize, oh, love is a covenant. Love is a decision. It's not an effortless response to my attraction or my emotions. I don't care whether you're a believer or not. Every committed marital relationship will at some point realize that love is truly not an emotion that just effortlessly is there that I can sustain, but it's a decision that sometimes I choose to make despite the person acting unlovable. People have no idea what marriage really is. And it's just crazy to me to think like, phew, wow. And the enemy has done a great job making this the case, because a lot of people are flabbergasted. When's the last time y'all heard that word? because of the state of dating and marriage. And it's like, wow. So it's a crazy thing. It's crazy. But so I like Pop the Balloon. I think it's entertaining. But I'm glad. It was the first time I just randomly, just me, we were looking at something. We were waiting for my other son to come out the bathroom last night so we could watch this movie. And so it was just the YouTube was on, and then I just started watching it. And then we ended up watching like 20 minutes of it and just talking to my son. I love it because I can talk to him about, see, look at what he said right there. You don't want a woman who's like that, son. You don't want a woman. He was like, yeah, because it was fun in that sense. And it's an entertaining show, but man, do not take your cues from that show, because, or at least be discerning. Be discerning, because you know what? Sometimes it's not even about you. It's just about people's superficiality, their fear of man, their compromise, their lonely. Sometimes it's just about that. Everyone feels because we have options, feel so entitled to all this stuff. Man, I hope Arlette and BM invite marriage or share their marriage, invite people on there to say, hey, let me show you what marriage is about though. Let's pause for a second. Let's pause. Let me rap to you. Let's pick people who were on the show that had wild comments and do an episode where they're sitting down asking you Q&A about marriage. And you get other couples on to do two crowds of people, the singles who've been on the show that was trying to get, and then married couples, and have them speak to like, look, this is what you got to do, what you got to consider. Because I think sometimes marriage is the person you marry may not meet all your preferences, but that person may be the person that loves you better than anybody else can. And that's what I'm trying to teach my sons as well as it is. So what do I know though? What do I know? It's just entertaining time. Like and subscribe to the channel. Pop the balloon. I will see y'all next video. Grace and peace.